contributing to your allergenic load. Really, if you remove anything that uses up any of your body's recuperative energies, anything that's toxic, anything that causes inflammation, anything that we shouldn't be exposing ourselves to. So get rid of the bad foods. Get rid of the toxicity, even do a detox so that you get the toxicity out of your body. All of these things help. Sometimes you can reduce these other insults to the body to the point where the allergy itself doesn't cause you that much trouble. And that's even if you don't do specific things like we're going to talk about probably on the next segment, which is what we can do to improve our immune function and our gut function so that we hopefully don't even have the allergy to begin with.
If you look at your watches, both of you guys, I want you to look at this. We've got about a minute and 10 seconds left to talk about some of this now. And I want to talk about some of that right now. How can we dilute the issues of symptoms if somebody's dealing with it right now, and how can we prevent it? We talked about some of the things you could talk about with as far as preventing it, but Dr. Webster, why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, brain balancing is one of the first things I do. We know that when your left side of your brain functions lower than your right side of your brain, your immune system goes down, period. It's well established in the neurological literature. And there are things that we can do to stimulate the left brain. The best thing is to have me check you out, because if you're dominant in your left brain, you don't want to do a bunch of left brain activity that'll make you all manic and maybe schizophrenic type of acting. But if you have a low left brain, it can help a lot. Sometimes you can be completely cured of your allergies just by doing some left brain function.
Dr. Gilbert, why don't you go ahead and chime in on this? What are some of the things we can do to fix or dilute some of the symptoms we've got? What would you do in your practice?
Well, generally, again, we always mention the avoidance techniques as much as we reasonably can. But then we have to depend on some sort of medication. And today, we depend more on what we call the second-generation antihistamines, which are the non-sedating ones, something like Clarinex, Claritin, Allegra, versus the older antihistamines, which are more sedating and interfere with work. But we use some sort of an antihistamine. We have numerous types of nasal sprays that are very effective today, non-habit forming. And we have antihistamine nose sprays, and more effective are the steroid nose sprays. And I know people get a little bit concerned when they hear the term steroid, but the amount of steroid or cortisone you're getting in a nose spray is minute. And that is probably our best protector that we have to use. So that just protects, by and large, the nose. And this is one of the major ways that the airborne allergies get into our body.
All right, so coming up next, let's talk more about some of those options for diluting some of the issues you might be having now and how to prevent it moving forward, okay? What are some of the things you can do to prevent it? Other than your exposure, there's some ideas that I have that I've tried that have worked for me and other people. So we'll share that with you. Coming up next, it's 7:46. I guess we have nothing else to talk about. Tina took care of it all.
Right.
We're done. Okay, Dr. Gilbert, did you hear Tina with her fitness tip?
Boy, I'd like to have her in my office. That was super.
Everybody would like to have her in your office. You should see her.
That was really wonderful.
Yeah, she did a good job. So some closing thoughts, Dr. Gilbert, about what people can do to avoid and maybe minimize the symptoms of allergies today.
Well, I think she just gave a great thing as far as of avoidance, but trying to minimize them. And most of the people that an allergist is going to see are really people who've tried some simple things already, or many of the measures that have been mentioned, and they're still having problems. And so we have to rely on medications, again, that are safe, various types of our nasal sprays, and a significant number of people who do these traditional kind of medications that don't get an effect. Then we have to rely on our allergy injections as a backup, and that works very, very, very well for a large number of people, and is actually the only way that we can get over an allergy. We're not going to cure it, but speak about really controlling it, lessening the need for medication in the future, and trying to prevent the further development of allergic disorders. Many people who have nasal allergies, for example, there's about a 30% chance that they're going to develop asthma. So by putting these people on allergy injection therapy, where we sort of reorganize the immune system, we can try in many cases to prevent that.
All right, if you'd like to talk more with Dr. Alan Gilbert, if you have allergy issues, you can give him a call, 972-243-7901, 972-243-7901. That's where you can be reached and talk with him more about how to deal with your allergies. Dr. Webster has an opposing thought that he seems to think, and you only have a couple of minutes, I want you to watch your time, that you can get the same results without medication. I'd like to hear both sides of the story, so so people can make a choice.
And I would say it's more complementary rather than opposing.
Okay.
Dr. Gilbert mentioned an antihistamine effect in the last segment, and I just want people to know there is another option without taking medication if you take high-dose vitamin C. Now, I'm not talking about 500 or 1,000 milligrams. I'm talking more of like 10,000 milligrams. So to get this dose of vitamin C, you need a buffered vitamin C powder. And it's very cheap, very effective. It's not going to bother your stomach like high-dose vitamin C would typically. But it has a very nice antihistamine effect. Also, you can avoid certain foods that have histamine in them or trigger a histamine response. Leftovers is one of the things that we need to be avoiding if histamine is an issue.
You said leftovers. Leftover what?
Leftover food.
You're kidding me.
Bacteria start to develop histamine in your food when it's left over.
But the next day, if you have it the next day?
The longer it sits in your refrigerator, the more histamine it develops.
Oh, wow. That's a
so, and I have a whole list of foods that are high in histamines, and if you avoid those foods and reduce your histamine intake, you can reduce your allergy symptoms significantly. And then just, of course, do everything that we've always talked about to improve immune function and improve gut function. Raw whey protein, zinc, vitamin D. Vitamin D is huge because vitamin D is required to activate your immune cells. If you don't have sufficient vitamin D levels, which most people don't, you can't have proper immune function. So just getting your vitamin D levels up to par sometimes can reduce a lot of your symptoms with inflammation and allergies.
And having the energy to deal with all this. So let me just share with you what I would do real fast. Let's run through it. We've got about a short, very short period of time. I use something called the neti pot. If you know about the neti pot, you go get this thing. You put this warm water and salt or saline solution in a neti pot. You put it in one nostril, turn your head to the side. All the stuff comes out one side, then the other side. I also use something called X-Clear or Xlear, something, I don't know what you call it. You get it at one of the healthy grocery stores, and it's a nasal spray, but it's 100% natural. It's got xylitol in it. I squirt it in my nose. Stuff comes out. I blow it out. I put it back in. I leave it in there. Washing your hair, like Tina said, when you come in from outside, taking your clothes off, putting them in the washing machine, even if you don't wash them right away. Because washing your hair and washing your body, instead of putting it on the pillowcases and on your bed sheets where it's going to stay, even when the pollen's not an issue outside anymore, it's on your sheets, depending on how often you wash your sheets, can be a significant issue. So with all that said, Dr. Gilbert, thank you for being here. Dr. Webster, thank you for being here. And it's